Hi everyone, and welcome to question 18 of the question and answers series. This one is now actually about length of a performance. Again, I'll read the question and I'll give you the advice I've got. So, how long should a performance be in front of an audience? Is there an ideal shoot for before fatigue starts to set in for both you and the audience? This all depends really on the audience, I guess, and you as a performer. So, with the audience, if there's children there, you've got to think they've probably not got that great of an attention span. It always depends child to child. I guess a lot of parents have a bit of initiative with that, and if they know their child's not going to sit through X amount of time, then they're probably not going to go anyway. That's why a lot of adults don't take children to cinemas until they reach a certain age, because they just know they're not really going to pay attention, and ultimately it's a waste of money at that stage. For you as a musician, you need to be able to play for the amount of time without really showing it. Obviously you see performances of musicians, comedians, etc., and they're absolutely drenched in sweat, but they're still lively in themselves. They're not looking as though they're necessarily tired. So you want to give that illusion, because as soon as you start looking tired and disengaged, the audience will become disengaged, and you don't want that. So you've got to think about that and be honest with yourself. If you can't do more than 45 minutes, then don't do that. Start small, and then you can grow as a musician as you get better. Obviously, if it's like a theatre show and there's music involved and there's theatre involved, then you can often get away with quite a long performance. You know, some like musicals are quite long. Now that's because there's visuals involved, and especially if there's children there, children love visuals, so it'll keep their attention stringing along a bit longer. There's also bands that are quite visual as well, or dance. If they can get you up and dance, that can push it a bit more. More on that in a little bit anyway. And yeah, well, with cover bands, my experience is mostly 45-minute sets and commonly 2 sets per gig, with like a 15-minute break in between and a couple of encore songs at the end anyway. Sometimes that's 3 45-minute sets or 3 30-minutes. It depends on the venue, depends on what it's calling for, but commonly the 2 45-minute sets is quite a good setup for the audience and for the band. Now as a band it's a little different. Yeah, it can be tiring still, but you aren't doing all of the work as one person. If you're looking as being a solo artist, then you do need to make sure you've got the voice to cover it, and if you're using, accompaniment of ukulele, guitar, piano, you can withhold all of that through the whole performance. But yes, another way of doing it is for bands and artists that do ticketed events rather than a free to the audience gig. Obviously they get paid by the venue, but if they're doing a ticketed gig where they pay for the venue to hold their show, and people obviously pay to then get in, it covers the cost of the venue, in hopefully in most cases, and then the band gets the rest of it. From that, a lot of them sort of setups have support artists. So it gives this support artist, in a lot of cases, particularly if they're quite new and upcoming, gives them a chance to perform to a slightly different audience to probably what they're used to. Now, of course, if you're a country artist and you're going to put on a gig, you're probably going to get a country support artist as well. You're not going to go for like heavy metal or something. You want it to fit with what you're doing, but gives them a chance, earns them a little bit of money, gives them a chance to get a new audience involved, and it also gives the audience a chance to then listen to 2 artists in one night, so they get about 2 hours of entertainment, and it's varied. So varying it up is a good way of doing that. And yeah, so a good overall way of doing it. Now, speaking about the visuals and the dancing again, when I watched New York Brass Band, which is a street band based in York over here, I danced to their support act, which was about 45 minutes, and I danced to both of their sets, and I hardly felt like I'd done anything in that time. The adrenaline really kicked in, and I just found it so fun to be at. I wanted them to keep playing all night, if I'm honest. As soon as I left the venue, I then realised I had been dancing for so long and found it quite difficult to walk back home. But it was such a good evening. So if you can capture what you're doing in the right way, the audience will love it. It all depends. A lot of the answers to these questions is it all depends. It's all personal preferences and using initiative. So yes, hope that helps. Cheers, bye.